This is Christopher Smith, known as Peacemaker. His father was a soldier who trained his son how to kill from the moment he was born.
I cherish peace with all my heart. I don't care how many men, women, and children I need to kill to get it.
Miss Waller charged me with making sure those records don't leave this building.
Peacemaker. What a joke.
Peacemaker is one of those protagonists that their entire psychology is based upon trauma and the effects thereof. And that's why Chris has such a dogmatic view of the world. His world has to be black and white. You often, if you've gone through lots of trauma, you end up stunted at a certain age. And because of that, you want black and white rules to follow so that bad things don't happen. Sometimes you may end up in these circumstances where those decisions may have lasting effects on you. So let's put on our therapy hats and take a look at the psychology of redemption and whether or not Peacemaker Chris deserves it.
And Dad, you know how he got the phobia?
Of course I don't know how he got it.
He was tortured. His own father tortured him by locking him in a crate for 24 hours with nothing but starving rats. Right? We thought he had these horrible acne scars.
That is often people's starts of phobias, but it doesn't actually have to be. A lot of times people have a fear or a phobia that doesn't actually have an inception point, and in order to treat it, you don't actually need to know. I actually go through a video on Bloodsport and on Suicide Squad. I have some of the different characters that you can check it out, and we go through his phobia there.
Rat bites for when the rats would gnaw on his flesh when he was a little kid. It's funny, right?
And that's actually really common, that people make fun. Now, it's not like you're horrible people just because you laugh and humor. I think that humor is one of the ways that often people deal with trauma. But you can already see the way that his father acts and how that kind of harsh, like, I'm going to be vicious with you and that's going to make you tough. I think that a lot of parenting thinks that that's the way to do it. Now, you don't want to over coddle your child, but you also don't want to be so harsh that your child ends up with this huge insecurity, which can end up making them act out. One, they could end up emotionally stunted at a certain age, and two, they might actually act out and be overly aggressive to try to prove to their father that they're tough and that they can handle things. So being abused at an early age can often have the opposite effect of what a parent is trying to do. Love, support, being able to be balanced, having them have responsibilities is actually the healthy way to parent.
This that was afraid of the rats.
Yeah.
Please, God, don't tell me he was the one who shot you.
And I go through a little bit of Chris Smith's psychology and why he reacts the way he does, why he does so many things that seem more juvenile than what is for his age, that he has a naive way of looking at the world in its own video, which James Gunn did say, I'm just going to say it, I was right about the psychology of Peacemaker and why he does what he does.
Everybody hates you. This guy you're a computer friend, but you push him away like you push everybody away. The flag was right. Peacemaker. What a joke.
That's when it all comes crashing down. Often we have this cognitive dissonance when we're protecting a viewer. We look at something from a very black and white way. And whenever you look at something very black or white, very all good or all bad, that's a lie. Very few things in the world are ever black or white. He's had this entire mythos around him that he's hidden behind, that he's the peacemaker, and that peace, no matter what the cost, is valid and good. And then he ended up going through a set of circumstances that shows that perhaps that is wrong, and that's hurt him. And I think that that thought of Rick Flag, this person that upholds all of these things, that is looked up to and respected by all of these people, that he had to fight him. He had to make a choice between two things, to be able to follow the rules, to fight for what he believed is peace, but in order to destroy someone he loved. He really was between two very difficult positions. And so he kept his view of being black or white, following orders, being a good soldier, no matter what. Such as the same thing that he did was following his father's rules, no matter what. But that also ended up to the death of his brother, that also scarred him. And he's also, by those one words, saying that Peacemaker is a joke, that he's not actually there for peace. It starts to create what we call that crack in that cognitive dissonance that makes all of your belief systems come crashing down around you. And that can feel really horrible. Change is really scary because it makes you question, what is your identity? Who are you and what do you stand for? And if what you believed all this time is a lie, what other things do you believe is a lie? And also, who are you as a person? If he is not a peacemaker, if what he's been doing all this time is wrong, then everything that perhaps he's believed is wrong. And that's why people often cling to their beliefs, even if they know that they're wrong or if they're illogical, so very strongly. Because if you knock down one card from your house of cards, the entire thing comes crashing down around you. And usually our brains are made to keep doing the same things that have happened beforehand. That is safe, and change is scary.
We don't know yet whether or not his wife and children are butterflies. If so, you'll have to kill all of them.
What?
I thought you loved peace with all your heart, no matter how many men, women, and children you needed to kill to get it.
Yes, I said that. I say that, and I mean it. It's like that's the vow I took, but... Kids?
We're not here to answer your questions, Smith.
So what is it, just trust us and shoot kids? Come on, man, look how adorable that one is. The other one, not so much.
So you already see those cracks in his belief system starting to happen because he's been confronted with doing something wrong. The problem is that once we do something, we make a mistake that we didn't expect the repercussions to be that way, it causes a lot of anxiety in our system. And so the next time we're confronted by a similar situation, our anxiety goes up. And that's how we change our belief systems, but it doesn't come easily. We often waver back and forth with our old belief and our new belief as neither of them feel really comfortable. And if we are mentally flexible enough, which is a very healthy way to be, we can make that transition. We can grow, we can evolve to a better place from where we were before. If we are too stuck or too fear-based, or we've gone through too much trauma, we may not actually be able to move. That takes a certain amount of mental strength to be able to do that because it is really scary. So you need to be able to believe in yourself. You need to be able to have a support system that will be able to be out there either internally or externally. But you can see that for Chris Smith, he seems to be being able to do that. He's starting to question it instead of just dogmatically going through the rules because the rules were given to you. And you don't actually want to raise children that are just rule followers. You want them to be able to question the rules that are around them, to be able to think, to be able to do something. Unless you, of course, live in a very autocratic world, and in that one, you would just want them to follow the rules no matter what, to be little tiny soldiers that never think for themselves. But that actually isn't a healthier way for children to be.
I don't know if I can hit them.
They're clear. Take the shot.
Waller gave us a killer who can't kill.
And so you see that he's going through an anxiety response because he's going through something that is similar. He has been given an order to hurt someone that for him it's questionable whether it is a valid order, whether it is the right thing to do. And that's when our mind kind of comes back, sometimes to haunt us, but sometimes also to give us that cautionary tale that perhaps we should follow our instincts, perhaps what we believed was right. For Chris, his entire identity is around this, of being this perfect soldier, and it just wrecks his entire identity because he used to be everything is about peace no matter what is the cost to it, and he's going to follow orders in order to maintain that peace. But here he has to question it because it is something that even though he said it many times, he now feels differently about that, and he's starting to question authority, which is a huge sign of growth for Chris's character. He is no longer being dogmatic, which means that he's not as easy to control. That change, though, in your cognitions, whenever you are evolving or being something different, it's like you're walking on another stepping stone and the ground is uncertain. And so that can cause a lot of anxiety. Everything is new. Whenever we did something, even something simple, can cause a lot of anxiety because you're not sure what the repercussions of that will be. But for Chris, he definitely has this underlying feeling that what I'm doing might be wrong, and I don't want to make that kind of mistake again.
Hey. What's going on, Chris?
Jesus Christ.
You got like some business or something here?
What's up, Rick?
And this is Chris Smith from Universe A. Your internal way of looking at the world is really based on your own trauma, your own thoughts, your own processes, even if the world around you changes. A lot of times people try to run away from a situation, from pain, trying to go somewhere else. But in the end, the call is coming from inside of the house. You are the one, and all of your demons follow you no matter where you go. So a lot of times you might run away through alcohol, through avoidance, through changing the way that the location is. But if you don't change your internal psychology, the same type of things and problems are going to follow you and crop up no matter where you go. And then when you end up confronted constantly by the people that are around you of the mistake that you made, it makes you reflect a lot on who you are as a person. The entire psychology of what happens to someone when they've done something that they deeply regret or that they look back upon as a mistake. Even if you believed it strongly at the time, but sometimes you may not have. That's become something really difficult to be able to deal with. How are you able to go through life with being able to forgive yourself? Because often you can end up in this cycle of self-hatred where you feel like you deserve to continually be punished, that good things consciously or unconsciously are not meant for you. And in some cases you might self-sabotage because of that, or even dig into it, become the person that you hate to keep people away, to push people away from you because you're not deserving of that. Do people deserve redemption? Do they deserve forgiveness even for doing something horrible? And if that is the case, what are the precursors? What do you need to do in order to do that? To be able to be forgiven by society, but also to be able to be forgiven by yourself. And I think that for a lot of people, that structuring of why that happened, that working through of what do I have to do, and to be able to make concrete steps to show that your behavior has changed, to be able to make amends for that. As a therapist, I believe that people can make changes, that redemption can happen. Does that mean that that is for everyone in every single case? No, that may not be. Someone has to want to and be able to actually make those difficult steps in order to get there. And I actually think I know how this show is gonna end because of that. You want me to tell you what I think? I'll tell you at the end.
Close that shade. Turn off the recording equipment.
That's a good sign. Sir, you have every right to be angry. I admired your son. I liked him. I just got caught up in a very dark way of looking at the world.
I think that it's really significant to mention that Chris does not fight back. He feels that this is deserved. Now, he very well could take Rick Sr. He's really, really strong. I think that it also goes to say that Amanda Waller is the person that ordered him to do this. And he actually had like a way of detonating his head if he didn't follow orders. He risked his own death. So I don't think that Chris, even though he followed orders blindly that Amanda Waller stated them, I think that Amanda Waller also has a certain amount of culpability in giving out these orders, and as stringently as she did. She could have stopped this at any point as well.
How did you get here in the first place?
I stumbled in here by chance. And I never meant to hurt anyone. I just wanted to look around. So I went outside for some air, and that's when Keith drove up. My brother died when I was a kid, okay? He was my best friend. I just wanted to see how it would have turned out.
And that want to live in a different world where you might not have to pay for the consequences of your actions, where things might be better, where people might be happier, where you might get to exist with people that don't look at you with the same ire, or you're looked up to as a hero instead of possibly a villain or this mercurial figure. That's really salient to people, to be able to start off with a clean slate. I think that our society has become exceptionally judgmental, where you can be judged from one comment, one post, one image, one ideology, even from something that was long ago. And I don't really think that that's fair, especially if you've changed the way that you look at the world. I think that we need to give a certain amount of allocation to people to become different people and to be able to be embraced by who you've evolved to be instead of all of the things that you've done in the past. But that comes to the other question of there still has to be consequences to actions, and there are certain consequences that you might have to pay for the things that you've done, no matter what.
Why'd you come back here?
I wanted to feel what it felt like to have a family.
And that's the problem, that it is very understandable to have the feelings that Chris is feeling. Chris becomes a very sympathetic character because you can understand his feelings and his want for that. I think that it is something that many of us would want, especially when we don't have that family or that unit or that friendship. And a lot of people would do many things in order to get that back. WandaVision.
You do? What the is wrong with all of us? It's so hard.
You killed your brother, you piece of
This is me. Everything I touch. It's me.
And I think that that realization for Peacemaker, that change in his identity, that no matter what he does, no matter how hard he tries, that things end up wrong, that becomes his belief system, that he's tainted, that everything around him is tainted, even if that isn't the case. And I deal with so many people, it's that their identity, their negative self-talk becomes this self-fulfilling prophecy, because you end up seeing the entire world through all of those facets. So you false positive, you only see the negative. He doesn't see all of the people that he's saved, that he's helped, how much he's tried to do better. He sees that no matter how much he tries, things happen poorly, that people just die, and he links it back to himself no matter what. And because of that, he sees himself as this inception point of all of these horrible interactions, all of these horrible ends. And perhaps if he wasn't there, that wouldn't happen. But the reality is that sometimes no matter what we do, bad things can happen. And I think that, yes, in some ways, Chris looks at things so black and white because of all of the trauma that he's gone through. He ends up with these reactions of fight or flight exceptionally quickly. And so sometimes he doesn't process things because he hasn't evolved. He hasn't had that part of the frontal lobe development because of the trauma that's happened to him. And so sometimes we jump to reactions. We become very protective before we have to. And I think that that also is something that Chris needs to deal with.
That's what you're looking for. The rest of them, all of them, came and got me and convinced me to give it to you.
Chris.
That your take on it, Rip?
Yeah.
You are under arrest.
And because of that, he sacrifices himself for the team. This is that show of evolution of his character. He does something to protect everyone else around him and using himself as a shield. I'm always trying to find different ways, fun ways, to teach people different ways that psychology impacts your life and to learn more about yourself and the world around you. And yeah, I know I'm a therapist, but I figure, what could be more useful than to learn more about yourself? Using pop culture so you can see more easily. Sometimes it's easier to see things from an outside source looking at other people than just looking in. Anxiety is my specialty, and it's a growing epidemic with 40 million people in the US alone dealing with it every year. It's something that slowly just sucks away happiness and causes your days to be filled with negativity and dread. So I developed a course to help deal exactly with that, to help educate and help people learn in the comfort of their own home what is anxiety and how to deal with it. And I give simple, direct ways in order to understand this and concrete tools that I would give in my practice. Anxiety isn't something that you have to dread and live a lifetime with. So I designed this course to help you breathe easier. And I did that on Nebula. And I have a whole bunch of exclusive content on Nebula that I could never really put onto YouTube, such as death dealing, which allow me to discuss topics that are important but may not do that well or fit into the algorithm. And I also put out new original content only on Nebula. And if you enjoy Nebula, you can get a lifetime membership, no annoying monthly charges, no expiration date, and it helps support your favorite creators. If you love Nebula, which I think you will, you can get 40% off with my discount. It is usually $500, but with my link, it is only $300. That's all early access, all the extended versions, all the courses, and all the originals. all from amazing Nebula creators, just by clicking on the link below. And that's a lifetime membership. You only have to do that once and you get everything that Nebula has to offer. And clicking on that link really does help out my channel, so check it out. So my prediction is that Chris has to fully take responsibility and not accept any easy way out in order for him to get a full character arc of redemption. And I actually think that it would cheapen his full evolution of his character if he took an easy way out. Now, I still think his team should bust him out because he has done good and he doesn't deserve that. So that's what I want. But I think that for his character, he can't do that on his own volition. I think that he can't take an easy way, because if he does, it shows that he hasn't fully accepted the gravity of his actions and all of the repercussions of that. So that is my thought of what we're gonna see for the next episode of Peacemaker. But you can let me know what you think of his redemption arc, if he deserves it or doesn't, and what's gonna happen in the comments below. And hopefully I'll see you in the next video.